The Solomon Islands is an island nation similar to many others in the Pacific region. Remnants of ships litter the shores, and life is very basic. Its beaches are the most beautiful you will find in the world. As a result of the volcanic activity that created this island nation, the land is very fertile. The rich land provides its inhabitants with abundant natural produce. There are 70 native languages spoken in the Solomon Islands. However, although English is the official language, the majority of people communicate using Pidgin. There is no doubt that Solomon Islanders are blessed to inhabit such a paradise, but living here does have its challenges, particularly if you are deaf.
Being a deaf child growing up was difficult because I was the only deaf person in my village. I was isolated and lonely, and although I knew I was different, I did not know why. The Red Cross sent someone over who knew how to sign, and this is where I first learned how to communicate with others. Later on, a man came to visit the Red Cross, and that is where my life took a turn.
Maris' brother George felt a great need to help the local deaf population, for whom life was extremely hard. They did not know sign language, and consequently communication was very difficult. They were almost like a forgotten people. And brother George was determined to help them re-find their place in the community.
With very limited resources, and with Brother George leading the way, we established a new school in the Solomons, specifically for deaf students.
Then in 2007 we really start with the first training. Now, to get proper staff members is really a frustration sometimes. And when they thinking about deaf ones, they had to learn the sign language and things, they are frightened. They're frightened. Every time when we need a new staff member, always a very hard time to get the real one. We had a couple of very good ones this time, but that is through the years it's that built up.
Once upon a time, I've been in that center, rural training center, which Brother George had established in Makira, St. Cristobal Island. I went there for training, and then also the deaf ones are there. And that's the first place I met the deaf people, and then I'm interested to work with them.
Brother George explained to the community that if they wanted the school, the money was not going to fall from the sky. It was going to be up to them to make it happen.
When I tell to students, boys, I cannot do that. I said, you had to do that. You had to do that. You had to. I not go to a high commission or a funding agency for some money for here. You had to show that this is a good project.
So everyone pitched in to help. They built the first leaf houses and dormitories and the first multi-purpose rooms to be used for dining, classrooms, prayer and everything else. The centre was underway. Once Brother George and his team had some land and the buildings were being constructed, they needed to get the word out about this new school. Deaf people are extremely isolated on these remote islands. No matter what their background or level of understanding, education using sign language is vital to helping them for the future.
Lots of students come to our school with very little understanding of even the basics in life. Through no fault of their own, the children come to us without even basic knowledge of how to look after themselves. Learning is not only restricted to the classroom, and exposing Fredika to sign language in everyday life is just as important. So whenever the opportunity arises, I use sign language with her as much as possible. We have had some great success with our students, and I am very proud of the work we have achieved. Still, getting the school off the ground was tough. We have had no government financial support, and we rely on creating our own resources to provide for these deaf children. Their families have no money, so we can't ask them to pay. The church has played a big part in assisting us, but we try to do the best we can with what we have.
Okay, to try to get government support of government, true, you hope to get something. But from the beginning, that was not the meeting. The meeting was for the students, the boys, there were mainly boys in the beginning, to start to do something and to give example. And to example, open eyes of the people. It is only this year, for example, that we get some support from the government.
Once our children learn sign language, they develop a bond with the others, and it is then that they have a sense of belonging. Leaving the village to go home is tough, as they have family they love, but it is here at the school where they are understood.
Being deaf in the Solomon Islands is difficult, and sometimes we get teased when people see us using sign language.
We gather and grow our own food. We all work together to provide food to our school village, and we all have a part to play. We rely heavily on the natural resources that surround us, and knowing what to eat and what not to eat has been passed down to us, sometimes from our families by watching, but mostly by being in this deaf village where we communicate with each other. Coconuts and cassava are plentiful here, and as a community, we all work together to feed everyone. This is another important role teachers play in our village, as many come here not knowing how to cook, so we teach them, using sign language, how to cook and prepare food. Working together is an integral part of village life, and both boys and girls participate in preparing the food. These are important skills they learn here to prepare them for life outside of the school. Education is not confined to a curriculum or classroom. As part of our deaf school, life skills are just as important for our deaf students. Back home, learning these skills is difficult for them to pick up. Long into the night, we talk about things that we need to do for the following day, so everyone is involved, and this can only be done by using sign language. Solomon Island Sign Language is very new, and as a community, we have goals we want to achieve. We have achieved quite a lot in such a short time, and we are proud of where we have come. Although we all come from different islands, we enjoy performing for our families when they visit, and we have lots of fun and laughs, but we also perform cultural dances that are important to retain our identity of the places we come from.
Now the school is established and doing well for its students. Its operators believe it is time for the community to be recognised and supported by central government. Its teachers feel they have done a lot for their deaf students, but when the students leave and become part of the wider community, they will still face barriers and require help from the government. Brother George and his team have goals for a future that provides a secure setting for the region's deaf people, a place for them to continue to come and learn essential life skills using Solomon Island Sign Language, a place for them all to belong. When students graduate, those that choose to return home to live are now equipped with communication strategies that they developed at their school. The land provides food and materials for shelter, and income growing products for markets. The school's graduates now also have the practical life skills they need to make a life for themselves. This is wonderful progress.
For the future, for the deaf community, I want the government to provide job and also more interpreter and sign language teachers for the deaf communities in Solomon Islands, because we need communication with those special people.
I feel like I have found my home here at Aruligo, teaching deaf children.
Aruligo's deaf students do not want to be regarded as the forgotten people. This school provides tremendous hope for them. From here, they can go on to become valuable members of their home communities and enjoy rich and fulfilling lives, wherever they may ultimately settle.
Amiga, amiga, mira.